this is only like maybe 15 years after Jim Sterling called it, but the media's finally catching up. Too many games, not enough players. The industry's growing challenge. The problem is actually not too many games, although that would have eventually happened anyway with things like AI making things so much easier. The problem is all the games out there now suck all of your available time and money. If all the new games are live services that try to monopolize your resources, you're only going to have enough time or money for like maybe 2 of them. And all the rest of them are just going to be choked out. Steam saw 18,626 new games in current year -1, nearly double current year -5. And I think it's going to be a lot higher now, too, especially as a lot of people are trying to make their own after losing their gerbs. And eventually you just get sick of walking around going, they took our gerbs! And you got to do something, right? New technology and democratized development tools have supercharged the way games are created and sold. The result, an explosion of creativity like never before. But there's a catch. Such a marketplace so overcrowded that even the best games struggle to be seen. That's not as common as you would think, because generally the true gems get elevated eventually. It might take like 2 years, but it'll happen eventually. I think if anything, we're going to have to go back to trusted curators, aka find a person whose tastes align with your own and listen to their recommendations. If you can't be bothered to sift through all 2,000 new games a month alone. Oh, for players, this is a golden era. For developers and publishers, it's an escalating arms race where only a few titles manage to break through. And you notice some patterns eventually. Notice that the only titles that break through are the ones that don't do what the wokies try to push. The ones that are just chock full of fan service that they're trying to snuff out. Yeah, both China and Korea just keep reaffirming their commitment to making what players actually want, while the West copes and seethes and all the urinalists try to launch hit pieces on them. Like, man, I don't think I've ever seen the urinalists as butthurt over a game as they are about Ananta now. And that game isn't even out yet. Like, I think that shows how worried they are. That if Ananta ends up exploding like Genshin Impact did when that first came out, that's going to be yet another couple of nails in the Western industry's coffin. Like, they've been throwing shade at it left and right. You know, we used to have standards and gatekeep trash games. Yeah, we used to gatekeep trash people as well. But then all of a sudden, everything has to be for everyone. Every community has to be inclusive and welcoming and safe for everybody. And that's why every community went to shit. Because you want to know, has anyone ever considered that maybe what makes communities shit are certain types of people? And maybe they should be gate kept out? The game industry is in the middle of a turbulent transition. Yeah, they cut their dicks off. That's a very astute analogy. Massive layoffs and corporate restructuring have dominated the headlines, but underneath those issues is a more fundamental shift. There are simply too many games, as it was recently highlighted by discount Jim Sterling, Jason Schreier. According to the data from SteamDB, 18,626 titles launched on Steam in current year -1 alone, a staggering 93% increase from the 9,656 released in current year -5. This surge is fueled by global growth in gaming, accessible dev tools like Unity and Unreal, and a near total shift to digital distribution, which eliminated the old gatekeepers of retail shelf space. And also the fact that you can have indie games like Silksong going up against the fucking Ghost of Yote in the storefronts and winning. Yeah, gamers are just tired of slop, man. The effects of this flood on full display in September current year. After 7 years of development, Team Cherry's Hollow Knight Silksong finally launched to critical acclaim, instantly hailed as one of the year's best games. Just a week later, Supergiant Games dropped the full version of Hades 2, another indie sequel with equally glowing reviews. Yet, not that many people are talking about that because, like, Hades blew their load in early access. And most of those weren't isolated hits. It came, but in between came the remake of Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, which is not all that big of a hit, by the way. Like, it's big in niche communities, but you can hardly say, oh, look at how crowded the industry is. These niche games are coming out. A new entry into the Boomerlands franchise, which is doing about, what, a quarter what the previous game did? Not what they wanted. A cooperative Lego puzzle game. I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. And a new installment of the long-running Silent Hill series, all within the same month. Oh, you mean Silent Souls? Unlike the infamous 1983 game Crash, this modern glut isn't driven by bad games. No, it is actually. Many are excellent, and we have the time for the excellent ones. See, the reason they're making articles like this and crying is because the AAA slop is being drowned out by these good indie and AA games. Like Ghost of Yote is probably going to be bent over a barrel by Silksong. And they're going to say, oh, it's not because the game was bad. It's not because the developer went to shit. No, it's because an indie game launched at the same time. That's why it flopped. Yeah. In fact, many are excellent. Of the thousands of titles released last year, 1,431 received at least 500 user reviews on Steam, a sign they were played by thousands of people. Tens of thousands, I would say, if not hundreds. Nearly 260 earned positive ratings for over 90% of players, and 800 scored over 80%. Although I wonder if any of those are paid bots, though. And then plus, we do have it on record where, like, not only do developers pull a Brianna Wu and harass themselves for attention, but other developers pull a Frost Giant and they make sock accounts to give themselves positive reviews. Yeah, they were caught doing that. But in today's fragmented attention economy, oh, what? You mean that now that groups are decentralizing, you're bitching because you can't monopolize everyone's attention anymore? Man, this is exactly what we've been asking for and wanting for years. Like, please, can we just have our own separate industry away from these toxic normies that keep ruining everything? And that's what we're doing. We're just going off into our own spaces. And whenever a tourist shows up and starts trying to cause problems, we just evict them. You're using all of their own lines against them, too. Like, well, clearly this isn't for you. So maybe you should fucking leave. Go somewhere else. Like, man, like, I am so glad that unlike Japan, China, and Korea actually have fucking balls. Like, the West keeps ramping up attacks on their sexy women, and they keep doubling down because every time they double down, they also double their profits. Man, if Japan was in their position, they'd immediately be working on the next Concord. Quality alone isn't enough. Live service giants like Counter-Strike, Dota 2, and PUBG dominate Steam's most played charts year after year. Well, here's what you got to realize. Like, a lot of these journalists and game developers are fucking stupid. Remember the MMO rush after World of Warcraft was bragging that they got 13 million concurrent players and they were basically just printing money? And everyone saw that and went, I want a piece of that. And they didn't get it because it turns out there was never an MMO audience out there of anywhere near that size. That was just the World of Warcraft audience. They're doing this too. Who the fuck cares if all the normie consumers are playing Counter-Strike, Dota 2, and PUBG when you just want to make a cutesy JRPG that has like zero crossover with those games? It doesn't matter. Those players are not your audience. Meanwhile, off-platform heavyweights such as League of Legends and Roblox command millions of daily users. I'm surprised League of Legends is still being played, really. I haven't played that game in over 5 years at this point. It's been a long-ass time. All right, that leaves newcomers competing not only with each other, but also with games designed to keep players hooked indefinitely. And now we finally made it to the only good point in this article, which is, again, exactly what Jim Sterling was talking about like 10, 15 years ago. Yeah, when every developer puts out a live service that's designed to keep everyone hooked indefinitely, well, guess what? Eventually, you're going to find a game that does hook you damn near indefinitely. I'm pretty much like that now, at least when it comes to the time I have allotted for fucking live service games. I have the few I'm actively playing now, and I literally don't have the time for any others. There's a few I wouldn't mind picking up if time freed up, but like right now, I'm pretty much, ride or die with the games I'm actively playing until they either shut down or the developers go woke and ruin the game, in which case I'm just going to uninstall and walk away. Unless one of the games I'm currently playing either goes to shit or shuts down, I do not have the time to pick up any other ones. Now, on the plus side, most of these games don't last more than a few months before shutting down. But on the minus side, all the ones I'm playing are already well over a year old. So they've already proven they can stick around for a little while. Even the most celebrated new releases often sink without a trace. Well, because they didn't take hold in a niche market. If you're just making normie slop competing with other tourists and normie slop, you're going to have a rough time. Like, no, the trick is you got to find an unserved niche and give them what they want. In current year, more than 120 games scored above 80 on Metacritic. Yeah, no one cares about the fake news journalist, though. Drag Queen Age the Fail Hard scored over an 80 on Metacritic. So you can't take that shit seriously. God damn. That was like one of the best fucking videos I saw. Was this is from Dr. Disaster, I think. He made a very damn good point that the game journalists completely destroyed what credibility they had left with the normies thanks to Drag Queen Age the Fail Hard. Because they gave that game glowing reviews despite how shit it was. The normies that fell for the lie and bought the game thinking it was actually good, like now they're looking at these game journalists and they're like, they see them giving like Ghost of Yote a lower score than Drag Queen Age the Fail Hard. And they're immediately, even if they're not conscious of it, they're subconsciously taking note. Like, do I really want to play a game that scored lower than Drag Queen Age the Fail Hard? I mean, that game fucking sucked. They destroyed themselves, man. And it's funny. But only a handful crossed the 90 threshold, the level where buzz translates to widespread sales. Yeah, then you get to games, like Silksong. The only reason the journalists gave that game good reviews is because they don't dare go against public opinion in this one specific case anyway. They know they have no social capital left to trade in anymore. Yeah, so I want a few VTubers play for 1 or 2 days, then give up. Oh, Drag Queen Age the Fail Hard? Look, that's one of those games. If you're only playing it for the memes, you're going to have a very bad time. So that in that case, I would say something like Reloaded is way better because if the gameplay itself isn't just so shit it makes you want to end yourself, you can at least get some enjoyment out of it when the characters aren't talking and you're just playing the game. But you don't fucking get that with something like Drag Queen Age the Fail Hard, where they always make sure you're not playing the game so they can lecture at you. Dreamhaven's Wildgate and Sunderfolk are prime examples. Both earned glowing reviews yet struggle to gain traction. Their fate underscores a harsh truth. Critical praise doesn't pay the bills if a game gets buried in an endless release calendar. Yeah. So now they're going to try to say, oh, yeah, these games only failed because they had too much competition. Not because the developers put more stock into trying to appeal to game journalists than gamers. If only they did what China and Korea are doing and actually gave gamers what they wanted, they probably wouldn't be struggling as much. Like, dude, the market is so competitive now that even the gacha games are starting to have to keep upping the ante and getting more and more sexy as time goes by. It's only a matter of time until we're back to like Last Origin levels of fan service in these games, and that's perfect. I just hope the developers are planning ahead for their inevitable financial deplatforming, so soon we can have an alternative to not have to worry about Visa and MasterCard. Like, look, Valve, why are you still dealing with Visa and MasterCard? Look, I would be more than happy to transfer money into my Steam wallet directly from my bank account without Visa and MasterCard as a middleman. Just give me the fucking option, Valve. For studios investing hundreds of millions into blockbuster productions, the stakes are higher than ever. Oh, we call them suckers. But they're also delusional suckers because, like we saw with Concord, they drink their own Kool-Aid and they start to believe, like, yeah, Concord is going to be our Star Wars. This is the future of PlayStation. And let me just repeat myself here. I hope Concord is the future of PlayStation. I want Concord to be the future of PlayStation. Nothing would make me happier than Concord being the future of PlayStation. So hopefully in time, they will be proven right. Players have more choice at any point in history, but for developers, the challenge isn't just making a great game, it's making one that people notice. Yeah, you want to know how you can get started on that? By making the characters look appealing. Like, this is an argument I have with droolers all the time. Obviously, if your game has nothing but jiggling anime titties, it's probably not going to last very long. But sex sells, and that is generally the first thing people see. Like, when people first find out about your game, it's probably an ad showing off the characters. You want them to pretty much immediately be interested. You're not going to get that when your games look like all the other games do, and they're all inoffensively ugly. They all have that bean mouth style. They all look like, or they're the generic copy and paste Unreal, more realistic asset look. So if anything, you need the characters to be as attractive as possible. So when people first see them, they'll be interested in seeing more. That's why the best, most popular, most successful games out there have good anime waifu fan service and good gameplay and good story. The fan service gets players in the door. It's the good gameplay and story and whatnot that keeps them there. Like, do you think Nikkei would even still be around if the story was shit and the characters just, like, their personalities all sucked and the gameplay was bad? Like, you think anyone would stick around with it? In this market where we got so much choice, even when it comes to just pure fans, like when it comes to just fan service, I mean, fucking Haze Reverb has way more of that than any of these games. But unfortunately, it doesn't really have much gameplay to it, which is stopping it from getting as big as it could be. But the story is okay, and the fan service is top tier, so they're able to stick it out. But my point being, if we're only looking at fan service, there's way better games than Nikkei out there. So once they hook you with the fan service, they got to keep you there with something else. Dragon Crown Sorceress and Amazon still live in my memory. Everyone's going to remember that. But no one's going to remember generic, realistic FPS protagonist number 9000. Yeah, enjoy the fan service from Snowbreak. Yeah, they've really learned their lesson from when the game launched. They did a complete about face, and they've saved their game. Yeah, Fenny's swimsuit, this event, fucking top tier. And all the new models come with backstory jiggle physics as well, which is a brilliant idea because guess what you look at most of the time in a third-person game? Yeah, the interactive scene as well at the pool. Fucking awesome. As long as they keep focusing on what makes them money, they'll do fine. All their competition doesn't feel like making money, so that's fine. Let them fall behind.